Brought to you by Mosh, your men's online hair loss clinic. Go to getmosh.com.au to get affordable hair loss treatments with Aussie doctors.
Tomorrow on the show, it's a big one. Father of the bride star, Kimberly Williams-Paisley.
And we'll meet the world's smallest woman. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Wash your hands.
Stay safe.
This is 9 News with Mark Burrows.
Good morning. It was an extraordinary moment that caught everyone off guard. In the middle of receiving vital coronavirus treatment, President Donald Trump left hospital so he could ride past supporters. Alexis Daish is outside Walter Reed Medical Centre.
A big surprise from the President of the United States here outside Walter Reed Medical Centre today, where he left the hospital. He came out in a motorcade, he had a mask on inside one of the vehicles, and he was waving at all his fans that have been parked out here outside the hospital for 2 days now, chanting their support for him and wishes for a speedy recovery. He did a drive-by on one side of the street, did a U-turn and came by the other side of the street. He was waving, very animated and giving people the thumbs up. Did look quite well. Just as he did come out into the street, he released a video message on Twitter.
It's been a very interesting journey. I learned a lot about COVID. I learned it by really going to school. This is the real school. This isn't the let's read the book school. And I get it, and I understand it, and it's a very interesting thing, and I'm going to be letting you know about it. I also think we're going to pay a little surprise to some of the great patriots that we have out on the street. And they've been out there for a long time, and they've got Trump flags, and they love our country. So I'm not telling anybody but you, but I'm about to make a little surprise visit.
There's nothing wrong with that man. That man is going to be just fine. He's tough as nails, for sure.
There was a lot of concern, and you got people from all over the country here.
After his drive-by, the President returned to the hospital. He is still a patient there, though he is recovering well. He is on day 2 of a 5-day course of the antiviral drug Remdesivir, and the physicians say that he could potentially leave hospital as soon as tomorrow. That doesn't mean he'll be back on the campaign trail yet. Vice President Mike Pence will host the next rally this week in Arizona.
Well, the surprise drive-by was immediately criticised by some doctors who called the stunt insane, claiming Trump had put lives at risk for political theatre. One of those was Dr. James Phillips, a physician at Walter Reed, who claimed this: the risk of COVID-19 transmission inside is as high as it gets outside of medical procedures. The irresponsibility is astounding. My thoughts are with the Secret Service forced to play.
That car is not just bulletproof. That car has been sealed against chemical attack. So the air in that car is recirculated. So what the president did by insisting on that joyride was expose the Secret Service agents sitting just literally inches away from him to recirculated air. And they have to hope that those masks they're wearing are effective.
All Melbourne students will be back in the classroom by the end of the month after the green light was given for remaining year levels to return. Year 7s will be back at school next Monday, while students from year 8 to 10 will return on October 26.
This is really important, I know, for families right across the state, but it's got to be done in a safe and steady way.
It was always going to be in a stepped way. We were never going to have 1 million students at the same day, same time, returning to school, and see that movement of all of those students, all their parents and carers and teachers and staff.
It comes as the state marked a promising milestone, with no new COVID deaths overnight, the first fatality-free day in almost a month. But the Premier has threatened to tighten restrictions after a weekend of chaos across Melbourne's beaches and parks. Christina Hearn has more.
Well, the Victorian Premier is threatening to extend the controversial 5-kilometre travel limit beyond its expected end date of the 19th of this month if people continue to break the rules at parks and beaches. It follows on from a chaotic weekend at our beaches. It started on Friday when this warm burst of weather first started. We had hordes of people gathering at St Kilda. They weren't social distancing, they weren't wearing any masks. And then yesterday we actually had 2 arrests. One at St Kilda, where a 32-year-old man was arrested and charged with a string of offences, including assaulting police and failing to obey the chief health officer's orders. Then over at Altona Beach, a group of people became quite aggressive at police when a number of fines were dished out. One woman hit with 3 infringement notices after they travelled 20 kilometres to go to the beach. We are in a delicate position here in Melbourne. We're only 2 weeks off of returning to some kind of normality potentially, but one Melbourne doctor says it is clear people's patience is running out.
Probably most concerning for me is the fact that seeing those people not do the right thing is a big red flag that we are on the clock. We are on the clock of public patience with lockdowns kind of diminishing.
And while the Premier doesn't have to worry about anyone attending the beach today because of this weather, he has warned that Victoria Police do have the power to close beaches if we have similar scenes again.
And for the 10th consecutive day, New South Wales has reported no new locally transmitted cases of COVID-19, with just one infection detected in a returned overseas traveller over the past 24 hours. Despite these signs of optimism, the state's health department says it's concerned not enough people are getting tested.
If people don't come forward and get tested, we can't keep the pandemic at bay. This is particularly important with school holidays and increased movement of people around the state.
Around 4,700 tests were conducted yesterday compared to 8,300 on Saturday. Our reporter Kate Creedon is at Dee Why on Sydney's northern beaches. And Kate, today is a big test for Sydney-siders. What's it like down there?
It certainly is, Mark. Look, it's filling up very, very quickly here at Dee Why. There's already not much sand left on the beach and the pool is very, very busy too. But families are coming down. They want to make the most of the long weekend and also this beautiful weather we've been having here in Sydney. Sydney is headed for a top of 31 degrees today. Here on the coast, it's already reached 29 degrees and authorities are pretty worried about that. Sure, we haven't had any community transmissions for the past 10 days now, but health authorities stress it's not the time for complacency and that it is important that everyone continues to socially distance. So if you are heading down to the beach, the advice is to keep a towel's length between you and any other families on the beach, and also to come down, go for a swim with the family and then head home, making sure that there is room on the beach for other families to do the same. Now, police will be out enforcing social distancing. We saw Polair fly over just a few minutes ago, and they're also using drones to ensure people are socially distancing. We don't want to have similar situations that we saw at the height of the pandemic where beaches were closed to the public. So the message is do the right thing and beaches will remain open. Now, while it is good news to have not had community transmissions in 10 days, as we just heard, our testing numbers have dropped right off. So health authorities are once again urging anyone with even the mildest of symptoms, just a scratchy throat or even a fever or runny nose, to go and get tested to ensure we do keep the pandemic at bay. Mark.
OK, Kate, thank you. The Queensland Government is expected to announce a deal with Virgin Australia that will keep the airline's headquarters in the Sunshine State. It comes just weeks after US private equity group Bain Capital was confirmed as the carrier's new owner. There is a push to finalise the deal today, with a caretaker government starting tomorrow ahead of the state election at the end of the month. Well, tax cuts are expected to be brought forward to help Australians, with a budget deficit of more than $200 billion to be unveiled by the Treasurer tomorrow. Federal politics reporter Kerry Yaxley is in Canberra for us. Kerry, how much sooner could tax cuts be brought forward?
Well, potentially this year, Mark, the government has been dropping hints that it intends to bring forward tax cuts which are already legislated. The hope is that by giving workers extra money, it would make them more likely to spend more and therefore stimulate economic activity. There is speculation that those tax cuts could be backdated to July 1, meaning soon after legislation passes through the Parliament. Assuming it does, then the extra money would be available to workers. The thinking behind that is that JobKeeper ends in March next year, and there was much needed stimulus between now and then, so there's no point in waiting till July next year to bring in that tax relief. The Finance Minister, Matthias Cormann, wasn't ruling it out this morning.
If there is a measure to bring forward some income tax cuts, and they are supported by both sides of politics. They're legislated, or they're at least supported. Then the ATO would be able to pass that on very quickly.
Now, these tax cuts are referred to as stage 2 and 3. It's not clear if both stages will be brought forward. Stage 3 is more controversial because it benefits high-income earners, and Labor has an issue with that and the fact that they're very expensive for the budget. The deficit, Mark, as you said, is expected to be over $200 billion for this year. The next few years will still be deep in the red, and we will know everything at 7:30 p.m. Canberra time tomorrow.
Kerry Yaxley in Canberra for us. Thank you. Well, a man has been stabbed during a carjacking in South Melbourne this morning. The 32-year-old was attacked and had his Hyundai Elantra stolen on Smith Street at 6 a.m. He was taken to hospital in a serious but stable condition, suffering a head injury. Two men have escaped a car rollover in Sydney's North Shore without getting injured. The driver and front seat passenger were able to get out of their Nissan Silvia after flipping and hitting a tree. Paramedics checked them over. The cause of the crash still under investigation. An elderly couple in Queensland has escaped a blaze which took hold of their home early this morning at Albany Creek in the Moreton Bay region. The fire, which is believed to have started in the computer room, had already taken hold of the bottom story by the time firefighters arrived. The pair managed to escape, calling 000 from a neighbour's home. Well, National Australia Bank is looking to hire an additional 500 employees to add to their workforce to help businesses bounce back from the coronavirus pandemic. It comes after the Big Four bank received an influx of financial assistance claims from customers due to the economic recession. Well, a bungalow up in flames. The lucky escape for two residents as the fire spills over the fence. Towns, roads, homes and cars obliterated as Storm Alex unleashes its wrath across two countries. And gone to the dogs, how these people are honouring their pets in the most bizarre way.